Hello everyone! I hope some of you are still there after all this time. It's been a tremendous long wait for this update, and it's not added much on paper, but in practice it's been an enormous undertaking for me. Basically it's all about combat, and I've tried to improve combat in different aspects, and also I've added ranged combat and troops on walls and little nice things like that. So let's start and see what we got. I'll show you something spectacular first. Some archery. So basically, I've redone this a bit. We got some new UI improvements, like a new font system. The font is a little bit clearer. I've tried to make the game as accessible as I can to those who have visual impairers. They're visually impaired. And I have added modability for text colors or UI colors in general. And I should have done a mod that's more clearer, that turns texts more clear, but I haven't. But I hope I will someday. But the font now is much better, I think. And I've redone this. It's now two rows instead of one. Much there. And here's the new conscripts UI panel. And what we have here, a lot we can recognize. We have some new equipment. We have a battle gear has been split into armor and weapon, and these counteract each other. So the more weapon you have, the more pierce damage you will do, and it also adds a little bit of defense skill. And well, this negates pierce damage, of course, and yeah, but it also slows you down and stuff like that. So basically what I've done, which has taken a long time, is to you have all these properties for an individual, and these are all connected to all kinds of weird things and factors around the game. I'm just going to get rid of the thunder sound effect so that you can hear me better. Yeah, and we have a lot more properties, and they're a lot more standardized, so to speak. And here are the military properties, and all of these are affected by training, combat experience, which you now keep when you fight in the world map. I fixed that. And other factors, like I said training already. Oh, never mind. As a modder, you can hook in whatever into whatever now. It's really nice that way and powerful. So basically what we have here, the combat system is new. So we have offense skill and defense skill. We had that before as well. And that's basically hit chance versus dodge chance. So that's that. And that's increased by mostly, okay, some noble office can increase that. The trait fighter can increase that, and it's decreased by exhaustion. And of course melee training is a big factor in this one, and the same should go for this one, more or less. And then armor, which only has the purpose of negating pierce damage, and pierce damage, if it gets through the armor, it causes a lot of damage. A lot more damage than, for instance, blunt damage. Blunt damage is always transferred from the attacker to the defender unless they dodge, and it works. It's relative to the defender's weight. So if you get 160 punch in the stomach and you weigh 300 kilograms, you're not going to take any damage really. But anything above that, you can take damage all the way up to explode into a cloud of blood. And then we have new stuff here, which is accuracy and range power. Accuracy is accuracy when they fire a projectile, how accurate it will be traveling to its destination. And range power is basically the range and power of the projectiles that are flung. And then a very important one is morale. We'll get back to morale later, but you will want, it's the most important stat, I'd say, in the battle stats, among the battle stats, because it's even less about killing the enemy now, it's more about routing them. You'll basically have no more than 20% casualties, and if you get to that point, you will rout, or the enemy will rout. So morale is really important. And yes, so in the new recruitment panel, conscript panel, you can do like you used to do and allocate stuff for these dudes. And since there are so many settings here to do, it's very hard to actually give the units a proper unit card. So you'll have to draw them yourself, so that you have some kind of hybrid thing here, or maybe not hybrid, we'll just do archers. Then you'll have to draw, you can pick an archer here, or you can draw them yourself, like you do your emblem. And that way you will recognize them. And then you can, if these are the same, you can do this. So that you will have better control over your troops here, so that you can visually identify your different troop types. Yes, and so this is, let's see some archery in action. Division. I'll place a division here. They have different stats to begin with. Tilapis happen to be better at archery than others, and I'll max these out. So they will have bows. Bows actually only increase the power of the projectile, and if you don't have any projectiles, you can't fire anything. So what you need to fire a projectile is actually the ammunition itself, and this is arrow quiver. It's the only ammunition that's in the game yet. And then they'll have some range training as well, and they should annihilate. Let's not be modest here. We want to see something cool, right? So we'll do this. There we go, and let me pause the game and let me put these on fire at will. I have some nice, all of this UI has changed, obviously, because there's new functions here. There's nothing spectacular. I've basically tried to imitate the Total War game with some additions. So here you pick the ammo, they're going to use that ammo, and then fire at will. And we're going to place some enemies here for them to fire upon. We'll place completely, well, I'll make a point. I'll do an unarmored bunch here, and then I'll do an armored bunch here. We'll see the difference. And let's hope this works without any bugs. Okay, you can see they are annihilating the unarmored people, but the armored not so much. And of course, all of this needs a lot of balancing, but that's for the future, right? They should do some damage. You can see, no, well, this one has been a little bit damaged, so they're not completely useless, and actually they're affecting the morale of this division. As you can see here in the bottom here, projectiles has a multiplier of 0.75 because they're taking fire, so morale for these guys are going down. And this looks like some friendly fire, which can happen. I need to adjust that as well, because the projectiles are actually traveling in 3D space. They're not faked. They travel in an arc towards their enemy. And I try to figure out, okay, so I need an arc that hits the enemy but doesn't hit your own troops. And sometimes that's not 100% correct. So I need to work on that a bit, but it's archers. And it's cool. You can hear the sound effects as well, I think. And these have a range. These are maxed out, so they have a long range of about. I've tried to read up about English warbow, so this should be equivalent of an English warbow. I think it's something like, I don't remember what it was, but in meters should be the same as a warbow bow. from my sources. Yes, that's that. And we also have artillery. Well, I can show you the new buildings for all of this is down here. We have an archery range and a training ground, and it applies this. The same rules applies that you can only allocate, say, 100% training into something. So if you allocate 50% into melee training and 50% into archery training, you're going to have people training full time, basically. And then, of course, we have a Boyer and a Fletcher. We have some new stuff here. Fortifications. We have stairs so that you can connect the top of your fortifications with the ground, so you can position troops on the walls, on top of the walls. And we have a gatehouse that lets enemies out and friendlies in. And we also have catapults, which are fun, which you can place on top of walls or wherever you like. And they will do stuff, which we can see here. One moment. I have a battle here going. When you're fighting battles, you'll get catapults or artillery, whatever there is available, and they look like this, and they will start to load. And the enemy is, of course, over here, and he has his own catapults, and he has a lot more catapults because he was actually fortified when I attacked him. So that's that. And if I were sane, I would go and charge him as quickly as possible, because otherwise he will destroy my army successively. I should put a loading percentage here. I should fast forward, but I always tend to miss the launch. I don't. Here we go. Now they're loaded, and here we go. Away with you. You can hear the fantastic sound effects I found online. And then we're getting a return fire here. Unfortunately, we missed any major impact, but it was there. We'll watch it again, just for fun. Here we go, another volley. What carnage. What devastation. Who would want this? Why would you play this? I don't know. I would. But anyway, that's that. And I don't think I have that much more to show. I could show you if I have anything here. I can tell you a bit more about. I've redone everything basically. I'm going to tell you some technical cool stuff that I've done. I have actually now 4 threads that are working on the enemy AI that's trying to figure out, okay, so where do I position the troops that makes sense? And how do I win over the player? And it's not very pretty, I must admit, because, well, I don't think I have it in me, and I only had about 2 weeks to implement it, but it's there, and it doesn't take away anything from the main thread, so the simulation will still run as it used to. And this is the Invader, and he is getting pounded by our catapults on the walls. So when you get invaded, you have a new zone here, which is kind of like the forbidden zone. You can still build on it, but take note that an invasion force might be launched here, and if it is, they will bring catapults and they will fire and destroy anything in this area if it's in their way, and they will do so from beyond the map, so you can't do anything about it. So that's just something you need to suck up in case you get besieged and you don't sally out and meet them. Yes, and so they would bring catapults. This one hasn't brought any catapults, but they usually do, and they will bombard your walls a bit before they attack with their ground troops. And yeah, so you can see I've put down stairs and gatehouses here, and it's working. Now I put some archers on the walls, and the AI is struggling, doesn't really know what to do. I thought he was going to run. He is running, I think. Let me check if that's enabled. No, he's not running. I have to look into that. But they should run if they're being bombarded like this. And then they will, let's fast forward a bit, see if they make it to the walls, which they probably are not going to. What a shame. But anyway, if they make it to the walls, they will start pounding it by hand, and they will probably not be able to break through all of this, but they'll break through a big chunk of it, and they will ravage your city if they don't reach the throne. They have a timer about 3 days, I think, before they retreat. So that's something to look forward to. And I think I have fixed most of the things that are connected to raiding. I think I made it so that you actually need some credits to be raided now, so you can turtle and make sure you don't have any credits and build up your forces while you do. Yes, that's it. That's basically the main features. And I have, unfortunately not, I have a long list of suggestions and quality of lives and bugs that I haven't been able to get through this update because I'm so delayed. And I'm sorry about that. The next update, I will definitely. Next update is just city building stuff. It's going to add health and epidemics and wards, doctors, herbs, medicines, stuff like that. And it's nothing out of the ordinary, so it should be relatively easy for me to do that. And I'll add a lot of quality of life improvements and stuff like that. And this is of course beta now, so if you check this out on Steam and you go play it, be prepared to find bugs. As always, I'm doing my best to keep the game save compatible, and if you encounter bugs, I'm going to do my best to fix them for you. But just be prepared that there will be bugs. And I think there's going to be a lot of bugs in this one because I've done so much fundamental work in it. And another thing I've done is that I have a new Pathfinder, which is even faster than the one before. I thought that was a fly inside my room, but that's sound effects from a corpse, I think. No. Here we go. Before I had the same thing here. I had divided the map into bigger chunks, and then I path in the bigger chunk grid, and then I kind of dig down into the tile path. So, but before I only had one level of these chunks. Now I have 3. So I have a big chunk that covers a lot, and then I have these smaller chunks, and I have smaller yet, and the smallest one finally. And this is super fast and a lot more, since the chunks are smaller, the smallest chunks are smaller, you're going to get a lot of, the paths are going to make a lot more sense. They're going to follow roads more and stuff like that. And you should also take care of all the janitorial issues that we've seen. Because the issue with janitors is that everything has a walk value, and like the Colosseum, for instance, it has a very high walk penalty because I don't want people to go in weird paths there, so to speak. So I want them to go along the rim of the Colosseum and then go down to their seat rather than cutting through a bunch of people that are sitting down. And that's the issue of the problem. And now I changed that, so it hopefully should work better. So it's only tied to distance, actual distance. Yes, that's all that I have this time. It's been not a pleasure. I was about to say a pleasure. This hasn't been a pleasure. This has been a pain. But the next update is going to be a pleasure. And I hope you enjoy this and that you have a lot of fun. And if you encounter bugs, it always helps if you attach a save or a screenshot or something like that, or instructions on how I can reproduce. And if you have suggestions about balancing and stuff like that, I'm all ears for that. Thank you very much. See you.